buttons were pushed.
If you're live on the radio now,
Awesome.
Perfect.
introduce yourself to the radio.
This is the local Lawrence County Law Enforcement Hour with your favorite sheriff, John Myers, and your favorite police captain. What's your name again?
Flake Grooms. How you doing, Sheriff?
I'm good. How you been?
I've been great. It's been a while since we've been on the radio. I've missed it.
I know. In a perfect world, you would never be busy.
Right.
You would never have a to-do list as long as your leg. You would always have plenty of time. Uh, you would never forget an appointment or a meeting. Everything would just fall into place every day in a perfect world.
Well, my mindset is, you know what? After Christmas, I'm not going to be as busy. Things are just going to slow down. I'm going to have plenty of time to do everything I need to do. And then here we are, February 20th.
How's that working out for you?
Oh, my goodness.
How's wife and kids?
I'm blessed. Let me tell you, my youngins are growing, getting better looking every day, becoming good people. The things that come out of my son's mouth makes me happy as a father. Although I think I fail on a daily basis as being a daddy.
Well, I'd like to tell you it gets better, but it don't.
Well, that's what I hear. But the good news is he does give me some type of acclamation that me and his mama's at least doing our jobs. So I'm proud.
Well, that's good. I'm proud for you. Yeah, and it don't get any better. Um, when your kids become teenagers, they do a 180 on you. You lose the sweet little darling kids that think you hung the moon, and then they turn into the exorcist overnight.
Don't tell me that.
Why I'm dying.
I carry a gun everywhere I go. Now I'm going to have to. So yes. Speaking of youngins, how's yours doing?
They're good. They're good. My daughter. This is the first year I didn't have a kid in school in 20 years. She graduated last year. My daughter's doing her. She actually works here at the radio station,
That's right.
and she's doing her online Columbia State stuff. And my son's home from the military. He's been home since late last year, and he's going to start college sometime. No, he's not in no hurry. He said he was going to take a year off when he came home from the
Now, did he
military.
go into the Marine Corps like his daddy did, or
No, he went in the Air Force.
smart?
Yeah, went in the Air Force and did his 4 years and came home. And everything's good. This year has been a little bit challenging so far with all the trips to the funeral home and the hospital.
Yes, and
That's one of the things I wanted to kind of touch on this evening is and of course most people listening know I lost my mom right
yes,
after the first of the year. She was battling dementia for a while and lost the fight. I think it was January 5th. So, and then it just seemed like that started to set the stage for the month of January because I went to 5 funerals in January.
yes, sir.
Lost one of my best friends, my mentor. I mean, he was like my big brother, Mike Reisner. He was
Right.
on this show once, maybe even twice, and taught me everything I know in law enforcement and taught me a lot of stuff outside of law enforcement and just made me a better person for it. But that was a tough one because
That man, he was. Go ahead.
yeah, no, that was my Saturday afternoon. That was part of my Saturday afternoon routine. I'd always stop by the bus station up in Etheridge and hang out with him for a little while. And but yeah, that was a tough. Lost Joey Harden.
Yeah, yeah.
Worked with Joey Harden for a while, long time ago. Man, I'm gonna miss that guy too. He was
That was a good dude.
he was such a that in both him and Mike. But Mike was up in his years, but Joey died way too young.
He did.
He was full of life, man. That guy was full of life.
So when I was in high school, I was a waiter at Chaparral. Made almost as much money then as I'm making now. But I can remember Joey was on the reserves with Lawrenceburg, and him and Beecham would come in there to eat, and they would actually request me to wait on. And I can when you say full of life, I mean you can talk to this guy for 5 minutes and just get him. You could get who he was, and I can remember him coming in there and talking about his little girl taking golf lessons and just all kinds of stuff. Ask him any question you want to ask him, he'd give you an answer, and just full of like just a good person. And like you said, it's a shame when we lose someone, but it's really a shame when we lose a good person really young.
Yeah, I mean I was close with those two guys. Um, Lost Billy Helton not long ago. I met Billy during my first campaign in 2018. Frank Schaefer, another business owner and well-known individual in the county. I mean, he was right there before uh, Mike passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we just there's been a lot of funerals, and I'm ready for 'em to quit. I need a break.
I'm right
Funeral.
there with
I
you.
went to Tony Santini's visitation day before yesterday. I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we're done.
Well,
We're getting all of them
yeah.
out of the way early in the year,
Hmm.
and then it's gonna be good. Yeah,
Going back to Mr. Helton, I didn't know him all that well, but what I did know was his son Biff. I graduated with his granddaughter Ashley, and I don't have to know a lot about a person, and this goes back to parenting. Probably two of the finest individuals that I've ever known in my lifetime has been his son Biff Helton and his granddaughter Ashley.
yeah.
Um,
I
that
didn't know him. I didn't know him that. I mean, I'd met him a handful of times, but I didn't know him like I knew some of the other
and Billy too, Ashley's older brother, he was ahead of me in school. These days, to raise good people that become good people, that says something to you and the rest of the world as what type of person you are, especially as a parent. So, although I didn't know Mr. Hilton that well, just what I've seen and what I've experienced out of his children and his grandchildren, um, they're rock solid, good people, and I'm sorry for their loss.
Yeah. You see the news today, Cash Patel got confirmed, our new director of the FBI.
Yes.
I'm excited about that one.
A storm is coming.
I'm excited about that one. They need an overhaul.
Yes,
Not
completely.
not just a rebuild. They need a complete overhaul of that agency, and I feel confident he's going to do that. We have a local FBI, well, our field agent, great dude, does a good job. But I think towards the top of the administration is where the problems start.
Yes, sir.
And you know it as well as I do. When you have issues or problems at the top, it trickles all the way
All the way
down to
down.
the bottom. And I'm excited he's gonna jump in there and get the FBI's reputation back. Right now they've got the reputation of a meth addict.
That's it. They're horrible.
I mean, they literally have the the reputation of corrupt, just a corrupt administration that was weaponized during the last presidential administration. So I'm glad they're going to overhaul that. And then we also our marshal, our fugitive task force. I'm just kind of remembering, and I got some things wrote down because it's been so long since we've been on here. I feel like I've got a lot to get people caught up with. But even the Marshal Service has got a new head marshal. DEA
Hmm.
has got a new director of the DEA. Our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, man, he's a solid dude.
What about the new secretary for the Department of Homeland Security? I don't know the former governor of South Dakota.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Christy Nome.
Yeah, Kristi Noem. I don't know if you was watching Fox News yesterday, but they announced that she is bringing a lie detector to Washington, and because they had the leaks where they were doing these ice roundups, they got tipped off 48, 72 hours prior, and they show up to start getting these illegal immigrants out of town, and then they're like, well, where's everybody at? So they were leaked, and she announced yesterday that those field agents and personnel that had that knowledge, that where they were going, they will be subject to a lie detector
Yeah.
test. Accountability and transparency is key, no matter what branch of government.
Sure, it does. And the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is because it trickles down to our agencies.
Yes, sir.
These cabinet picks that are getting confirmed and have gotten confirmed over the past month, we see the differences that they make right here in Lawrence County, Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
The presidential orders that get signed, we see the differences and right here,
Mhm.
right here in Lawrence County in law enforcement. So, man, I tell you, I'm excited. I'm excited
Excited
about
too.
the next few years with this administration in office because for a long time, for the last 4 years, we didn't have that,
No, sir. Nowhere
and
close.
it helps with your confidence in doing this
Mhm.
job when you know not just the people in your area of responsibility have your back, but when everybody has got your back. We got a great governor. I
Yep.
mean, he is a very pro law enforcement guy. I don't agree with everything the man does and says. As a matter of fact, it's probably about 85%. But you know what? Compared to governors
Mhm.
across this nation, we got a pretty doggone good one.
Yeah, he's solid.
And so all the way from state government to federal government, I feel like they've got law enforcement's back again.
And that alone makes things better all the way around. And a lot of people don't realize today is exactly 4 weeks that Trump has been in office, and just knowing the promise that inflation is going to come down, taxes are going to be decreased for a little old local police guy in Lynchburg, Tennessee, or in Pulaski, or in Waynesboro to know that it's going to get better. Where I'm going with this is, how many people we've lost out of law enforcement. Uh, Take the highway patrol out of it. They're getting paid great, so on and so forth. But there's been a lot of police that's had to leave our profession just to feel more comfortable to feed their families.
No, it
And
for a long time it hasn't been a sought after career.
you're right. And to know that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, brighter days are coming. If I can just hang with it, things are going to be better. That will make that police officer be a better police
Sure,
officer
it
when
does.
you don't have that stress on your back,
hmm
when you don't have that worry for your family, and you're more comfortable to do what you want to do.
yeah, having the
Yeah,
confidence to do your job
that means
and
a
and
lot.
and, and your decision making. We talked about this. Did you uh, happen to catch the Faith in Blue thing that we
Was that
did?
at Marcel?
Mars Hill. It was me and Lawrenceburg Police Chief and Sergeant with the Highway Patrol all sat down.
I didn't attend, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I think they live streamed it on the church's Facebook page or something. But and that's the second one we done, and we're going to try to start doing one every quarter. And basically, we're just partnering with some of our local churches, and we'll go to a different church each quarter, and we'll just kind of sit up and not preach. I'm not a preacher, so I don't want people to think that I'm going to take over the podium and start putting some hellfire and brimstone down. But no, we just kind of get up there and take questions and maybe some preloaded questions about what we do and how we need the public's support and help with some stuff and the prayers from the church and how we work together with the church and the people at the church and how it's just all one effort, to make things better in the community. But it works, and we it was a really good. They had a good turnout, and it went really well.
And that's the second one that y'all have done. I attended the last one at United, and I mean, you just couldn't get enough praise from their congregation. The
hmm
support that they
Yeah,
showed. Of
yeah.
course, Morgan's got a good group over there,
So
and
we'll be doing another one probably around April, I would say. We'll get with another church in the area and come and I'm all about keeping the public aware of what we're doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that's one of the goals of 2025 for me in the sheriff's office is. Did you hear that the advocate bought the DU?
No, I didn't
Yeah,
hear that.
yeah.
Really,
So it's going to be all one paper now, and I met with the editor. What is today for Thursday? Monday? No, last Monday. Yeah, because Monday was President's Day, so it would have been last Monday. and we're going to for a long time I was putting a like an update in the paper, and then we stopped, and now we're that's one of the goals, and we talked about that. So I'm going to start putting in every month our our numbers, our stats that we do. I think it's called at a glance, where it kind of breaks down our calls and some of the more important calls and what we do. And then I'm going to add some maybe a couple of stories in there about what's happened. And like for example, we had well, it was in the Advocate yesterday. It was the five arrested at a house that we did a home visit with probation. So the backstory to this was we this place was a source of several calls and complaints in the area of the traffic and the rough people hanging around and walking up and down the road. And I mean, the consensus view was that it was more than likely a meth house where addicts would go and get high. So anyway, um, we uh, we found out that the individual that was staying there, or the person that was paying the rent, or I'm not sure, but they were on probation. And part of being on probation, you have to
Subject to
agree to be
search.
searched and have your home searched, and
Mm-hmm.
they even initial that on their probation guidelines and stuff. So we went with probation and parole out there to do a home visit, and arrested five people for possession of methamphetamine,
That's a good day.
cleaned them out,
It's another
put
form
them
of
out of
clean house,
business,
right?
and cleaned them out. And the people in that area were very thankful. Uh, and it's if I'm putting myself in those people's shoes, if I had that going on up the road for me, and I was having to deal with it and see it and know what's going on, and have and I make this point every time I talk about meth addicts and methamphetamine. You can take the most docile person that there is, the most non-dangerous person, and when they're high on methamphetamine, they have the potential to be the most dangerous person
Absolutely.
that you've ever dealt with.
Yep.
And
Unpredictable.
you don't know how, you don't know what they're going to do, you don't know how they're going to act, you don't know what they're going to say. And I tell people all the time, don't take any chances with somebody that's noticeably under the influence of meth or fentanyl or something like that, because they have the potential to be violent.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand if somebody had that on their road or in their neighborhood, why they'd want it dealt with pretty quick. And they did. They dealt with it pretty quick.
Back in the day, Lord, going back 20 years, Sheriff Dornan used to call that an unruly house. And I can't tell you how many times he'd come up to us and be like, "Boys, I got an unruly house, and I need y'all to go down there and take care of business." And
Unruly
an
house.
unruly
That's
house.
a really nice way.
And what's funny about it is, being, because again, I was 19 when I first started trying to be the police. One of the first things I did was go to the law book, the TCA, and try to find the TCA for an unruly house. And I'm like, man, I can't find this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do. Luckily I had, a lot of good guys that were experienced, and I just, shut up and fell in line and did what I was told. But yeah, back in the day, if there was an unruly house, he wasn't gonna have any part of it.
That's a really nice way of calling a meth house or a crack house. Or those people still use the term crackheads, and I keep telling them it's not crackheads anymore.
Yeah, no,
Luckily,
no,
crack's gone,
thank
but
goodness.
but it's been traded for something else. What did y'all have a bad wreck? Was it a bad wreck in front of Zaxby's? The one that I heard about the other day.
If there, I didn't hear of one. I think they had a pretty good wreck up there, about that area. I think the other night there was a fatality. I think an elderly gentleman lost his life.
Well,
Um,
we had well, it was President's Day, because or was it Sunday? Might have been Saturday. I don't know. My days have all been running together,
Tell me
with
about it.
the bad weather and the closings, and then President's Day. My Tuesday was Monday because we were off. But anyway, I was I was pulling out. I was headed to the gym, and I was almost to Buffalo Road, and they gave the call out of a wreck in a creek on Turnpike. When they gave the address, I punched in the address on my phone, and it was like 2.2 miles away. So I knew exactly where it was. Or I had a good idea what creek it was and what bridge it was, and so I got up there and was the first one. Found the car. She was on the phone with 911, trapped in the car, couldn't get out.
That's a bad day.
Yeah, she was laying in about 6, 8 inches of water, and it was cold. I mean, it wasn't cold. This was right before the cold front and the snow. So whatever day that was, Saturday or Sunday.
Still, 60-degree water is cold.
Yeah, yeah, and she already had some hypothermia. She was alert and talking, but she was in a lot of pain. I think she broke a leg or a hip or something. And I got down there and got in the creek in my gym workout clothes and my tennis shoes, and we got the back window knocked out to where we could at least kind of get an eye on her and talk to her a little bit. And I stayed down there with her until the rest of the volunteer firefighters showed up in the ambulance, and then they dropped a ladder down because we was about, I don't know, 16, 18 feet
Really?
off the top of that culvert. It wasn't a bridge, it was a culvert. So they got a ladder down there, and I climbed and then it was pouring down rain by that time. So I climbed out of there and got a hat and a jacket out of the car, and hung out and watched them while they opened up the top of the car with those jaws of life or whatever they thought, and was able to get her on a stretcher and then put her on the ladder, and we just pulled the ladder and all of her up out of there. And I got some really cool pictures because I had about three sheriff's deputies there. So you had the sheriff's office, you had EMS, you had paramedics, you had firefighters, you had highway patrol, and it was one big effort, you know. And it's pretty cool to watch those guys. And I think some of the volunteer firefighters might get a little bit of a bad rap every now and then for not being the best trained. Let me tell you something; those guys are probably the best trained. It's exact opposite. And when you watch them work, and you watch them how they know what to do and how to do it, and how to move vehicles around and cut cars open, and how to get people on stretchers and get them hauled out of an area like that, it's
Our
good stuff to watch.
our volunteer firefighters, and I ain't just saying it because I live here. We've seen it, but it goes unheard of sometimes. Like you said, there are some volunteer firemen in the state that probably don't have a lot of training, but I have not one time in 20 years seen a volunteer firefighter show up to a call and me be like, man, I hope he knows what he's doing. Them guys are squared away. Could they get more training and better? That's anybody.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
But they're always there. They're always dependable. And this
Mm,
is just another example of how when they show up, they pretty much know what they're doing.
And they
They're
do
going
it
to
for
take care of
free.
business. They do it for
They
free.
do it for free, and they do it because they like doing it. They like doing that, and they do it because they like serving their community. I'm glad we got them. A lot of the counties, a lot of the rural counties across this state, they don't have that.
Right.
They don't. They don't. They just don't have that many um, volunteers that come out and help. Luckily,
I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. They just don't have that many people that care. Okay.
yeah, probably so.
That's, I mean, I'm sure some of the younger ones are like, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to have some fun and I'm going to, go fight some fire and stuff. But for the majority of the more mature volunteer firemen, they do it because they care.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, sometimes it's an inconvenience for them. Have to leave work or they have to show up late to work
yeah.
or
Leave their wife and
yeah,
kids in
in the
a
middle of the
warm bed
night.
at
Yeah,
1 o'clock in
yep,
the morning to go.
and ain't
Uh,
getting paid a thing.
yep.
Speaking of the weather, um, I want to thank a lot of our local citizens for how they were driving. Let's see, late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, whenever that front came through, right at about, because I worked that night, and it was at about, probably at about 3:30, where it went from, and a lot of snow had fell on the ground by then. But for whatever rhyme or reason, I know it dropped from 28 to 24 degrees about that time. But around 3:30, it went from, oh, this ain't bad. We can drive into it to every turn you made, you were sliding, skidding, and one thing that we were talking on our private channel was how the majority of folks that were coming through town about that time were driving slow. They were driving careful, and now, of course, we had a couple. Well, can I say dummies on the radio?
The dummies is totally
Okay,
acceptable.
yeah,
That's totally
we had a
acceptable.
couple dummies that were driving.
Idiot's my favorite word, but feel free to
All
use
right,
dummy.
well, I'm trying to be politically correct here. Driving way too fast, and you know, a lot of people forget or they don't know that when there's some serious inclement weather taking place, the speed limit is no longer a suggestion. Okay, you're supposed to slow down even slower than what the speed limit says. So yeah, besides a couple nod heads coming through town, really not giving a care to the rest of the people. For the most part, Sheriff, people were driving safe. People were using caution. We had a report of a jackknife trailer truck around the Industrial Park Memorial Gardens area, and we get the call, so we go up there, and when we get up there, he's gone, but you can tell by the way the road was and the marks in the road, he was obviously experienced some trouble, but he was gone by the time we got there, and I don't know who he is, but that's got to be one tough trucker to obviously be jackknifed and get gone before the police show up. But
Yeah.
besides that, night shift didn't have that much problems. I think days had a few cars and ditches, maybe along East Gaines around what is it, Gimlet. But for the most part, our citizens were using caution and being responsible.
What I mean, maintaining a safe distance from the other vehicles that's on the road with you is key, and I tell that to people all the time. You're looking at somebody that can't stand to sit at the house. I don't care if there's 4 foot of snow on the road. I'm probably gonna get out.
Oh yeah,
I can't sit around. And there's a lot of people like that. That's the same way. Don't get me wrong, it's probably better and safer to stay at home, but I'm a goer. I like to get out and go, and I don't like having my movement restricted. So I'm going to get out and go. But I mean, the main thing is just maintain a slow, steady speed. Don't hit your brakes. Don't break in a curve for sure, and make sure you maintain a safe distance from the vehicle in front of you. I had some idiot, I'll go on ahead and say it, an idiot that come sliding up to an intersection on me when I was coming in the day of the snow, and I seen him coming up to the intersection.
oh,
I knew
you
they
just
was
knew.
I knew they were
Yeah.
coming too fast, and they started slowing down, and you could see, and I could see the front wheels on this car not starting. They was in a car too, and that's another thing. If you've got a car, you probably don't want to get out.
Right.
If you got a SUV, a full size SUV or a mid size SUV, or if you got 4 wheel drive, then you're okay for the most part. But in a 2 wheel drive car, you're really flirting. And yeah, they come sliding up to the intersection and couldn't get stopped, and come halfway out in the lane of travel. Well, as I'm going by, I'm just looking at them. I'm giving them, you're an idiot look. That's the look I'm
The
giving. You're
stink
an
eye.
idiot. Well, then to top it off, they come up and they get on my bumper, and I'm in my unit, my Durango. So I politely let them know who I was and initiated my blue lights, and they backed off just a little bit. But I could see them in the back in my rear view mirror,
Yeah.
running it,
Uh huh.
and if it. What I thought about doing was pulling off, letting them go by, and then pulling around. But I was a little bit ticked off, and they was obviously a little bit ticked off, so I let it go, and they backed off from me at that point. But that's the absolute worst thing you can do is tailgate somebody when the
Yeah.
roads are slick. But we had a few wrecks, and I don't think we had any major injuries or
That's what I was fixing to ask.
any.
Y'all
I
didn't
don't
have
I
anything
don't
serious or nothing.
I didn't hear about any of them. And I can't stand snow and ice, and I'm glad it wasn't worse than what it was. I'm glad we only got about an inch and a half up in the north end of the county.
Well,
But
I love it. I don't like working in it. But yeah, it was crazy because again, we were talking on private about, man, this really ain't that bad. I mean, from midnight, like I said, up until about 3 or 3:30, it's like, this this is going to be all right. And then it just
Uh,
flipped a switch.
I got a few things here that I texted myself so I wouldn't forget. Because it's been so long since we've been on here. Some stuff that I felt like the community needed to um, be made aware of. Uh, we had a call over the weekend. People know me; they know I'm a dog lover, and we had a call over the weekend of animal cruelty. I'm not going to say where or who the person was, but it was probably the worst animal cruelty case that I've seen since I've been in office.
And
Bad enough that we charged this woman with 18 felonies,
wow,
18 counts of aggravated animal cruelty. I don't know if she's been picked up yet because I think she resides in another county, but um, there's 18 felony warrants against this woman, and I think she's got a $180,000 bond. I think
really?
that's right. Yeah. So she's in some serious trouble, rightfully so.
So, what were some of the conditions like?
Well, without
If you can go into detail,
it,
if it's still ongoing, I understand.
there was, and I wasn't on the scene. I read the report. I saw the pictures that was taken from the scene. I haven't looked at the body camera footage of when my guys went out there. But what I can tell you is that these dogs were in terrible condition. There was at least one, maybe more, dog that had died, and the other dogs were forced to eat on that dog to survive. It was, and you can imagine the condition of the dogs, about how skinny and scrawny and wormy they were. It's hands down the worst that I've seen since I've been in office. The good news is the dogs have been rescued,
Awesome.
and the shelter took them in, and we've got an inmate that goes over to the shelter every day and helps with the heavy lifting at the shelter, and we bumped him up with another inmate to help with the load because the shelter's busting at
Oh,
the
yeah,
seams.
it's
It's been busting at the seams for a
crazy.
while. Um, so we're doing our best to make sure that we do the majority of the heavy lifting at the shelter for Ginger and them. And I think I'm going to be on their show. I think it's next week. They've asked me to come and speak. But bottom line is, if you got animals, you got to freaking take care of them.
Yeah,
I mean, it's basic common sense.
no different than
If you're
kids.
going to have an animal, take care of your animal.
Hmm.
Make sure they have shelter, food, and water.
And if you can't take care of your animal, give it up
That's it.
where somebody else can.
That's it. If you, yeah, don't pin it up, tie it up, leave it out there unattended, in bad weather, foul weather, cold weather. Well, in the summertime, you got to have shade
Right.
out there for your animals. But yeah, she'll have to answer. She'll have to answer here, and then she'll have to answer again one day in front of the big boss
Right.
for that. But that was one of my bullet points that I had wrote down because I'm sure word kind of got out through the shelter the condition of these dogs, and we're um we're doing our part. We had a mass casualty meeting with some of the department heads last week. Went over some pre-planning
Hmm.
to get a plan, just a real basic plan starting out, and we're also going to do some training scenarios hopefully this
Yeah,
year.
we need to.
Yeah, just to kind of to get brushed up on that because that's a question I get asked a lot. If we have a mass casualty event, I mean, what's going to happen? How's it going to happen? What are y'all going to do? And we've got plans in place, for the schools, but we're talking about something totally different. And
Walmart, somewhere, something
something,
like that.
so we've got that in the mix. I got asked last week about if we've arrested any illegals yet, and if any of that's coming down the pike. I said, well, no, not yet, um, but that doesn't mean we're not going to.
Right.
We I can probably count the suspected or alleged illegals that we've dealt with in the past 6 years on my fingers and toes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the majority of what we see are just misdemeanor type crimes.
Hmm.
Alcohol,
Right.
public drunkenness, or DUI, which I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of that. That is, but we'll deal with them accordingly. We'll deal with them accordingly if we arrest somebody and we find out they're in this country illegally. I think right now ICE is really focused on hardened criminals, the
Yeah.
gang members, the felons, that's come into this country and done some really bad things. From my understanding, they're at the top of the list, and they're not going to worry about misdemeanor
Right.
crimes until way down the road.
And that's one thing I can say about our community is we've got several that reside in Lawrence County that are undocumented, illegally migrated, however you want to title it.
Swam across the Rio
Yeah,
Grande.
that's it. For the most part, that population around this area, we don't have a lot of trouble out of that group, and I'm thankful.
Now,
And
compared to some counties across the state, we have a very low population.
mhm,
I'm telling you, man, we got a lot of good things going on in this county right now.
we do.
I mean, a lot of good things.
I'm proud to be in Lawrence County.
We've got some really good department heads. We got a good amount of growth in this county. Not overwhelming, but good sustained growth, which we need. Population has increased a little bit.
Manufacturing
That's
is
it,
is, is fixing to
and
boom.
we got a lot of good people in government. A lot of good relationships
Mhm.
with people in government and people in business owners and community leaders and well-known, well-respected people across the county. I mean, there's a lot of really good thing, and I say that because I go to other counties, or we just had our winter conference in
Sheriff
Murfreesboro.
Association.
Yeah, yeah. So I get to sit around and listen to some of the horror stories that the other sheriffs tell about what's going on in their county, what's going on with their government officials, and man, we are in really good shape
Yeah,
in Lawrence County
compared
right now.
compared to some other
Oh
or
man,
counties.
some of the
Yeah,
nightmares, I mean, there was one that a fist fight broke out in a commission meeting. I mean, just there's some there's some real problems across the state and other counties. Fortunately for us, we don't have
yeah,
that. We've got a solid, and you know what? Our county's not huge, but it's a good sized county.
yeah.
And I'm saying for me being sheriff, I have about 100 employees, counting the jail staff and the SROs and courthouse security and patrol. I got about 100 employees, probably about 50, between 55 and 60 commissioned deputies. And could I use about three or four more? Yeah, sure I could, but
Making 10 or 20.
maybe I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I could assign two in the north end of the county 24/7, and they'd stay busy.
Oh, absolutely.
I,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
saying this north of Weber City is the source of probably 40% of our call volume. Um,
Well,
there's areas of the county that are quieter than the others. The north end of the county is responsible for a lot of our calls right now.
that's crazy because if I
But that's where all the growth is.
well, and I could see that. If I'm not mistaken, as of around 2014, 15, 16, somewhere around there, I believe I was told by the I don't know trustee or registrar's office that 68% of the rooftops in Lawrence County were south of Highway 64. So to hear that the majority of y'all's calls are north of Weber City,
Hmm.
there's some stuff going on north of Weber City. It sounds
Some
like.
summertown
Yeah,
bunch up there.
yeah, they getting a little wild.
Well, and here's another factor that I don't bring up, and I've said this: if I could arrest 15, 20 people up there and lock them away where they'd never see the light of day again,
Problem solved.
that call volume would go down to like maybe 2%,
Right. Oh yeah.
instead of 40%, just because of that revolving door. And anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I'll be on that for 2 hours. Um, Events. We have so many events coming up here in the next couple of months. Are you going to the shelter banquet?
I plan on it.
Did you go last year?
Yes.
Yeah. Theirs is, I think, let me look. They're probably listening. I better get it right. It's 6th, I think, 2 weeks from today.
That's on a that's
I think
I
Karen
think that's on
told
a Thursday.
Yeah, I think Karen told me that they don't have any more seats available, but you can always donate. They'll take donations any day of the
Yes.
week. And I've got that coming up. I've also got the Living Free. I'm gonna actually speak at that one a little bit. That's this Saturday.
Now tell us a little bit more about that.
That they are a faith-based group that teach and mentor some of the inmates at the jail. You know, I'm all about these programs in the
Right.
jail, and it's a faith-based program, and they come. I don't know how many times they come a week, but they come and they sit down and they discuss some Bible scriptures and some faith-based stuff, and just you know, uh, give them some material to look at and answer some questions. And I mean, you can't go wrong with anything that's going to put the power of the good Lord between your ears.
So when is that?
That is going to be this Saturday. They're having a spaghetti dinner and a silent auction, um, and then
Where's it at?
live music. I think it's going to be at the Lions Club. What's it called?
Right there on Jerry Street,
Yeah,
Lions Club Apartments.
yeah, but they've got a meeting room
Yeah,
or
yeah. In their
auditorium or something. Yeah,
banquet room there.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that's where it's going to be. Um,
And what time is that?
I think it starts at 4:30, and then the meals at 5. And I think they still have seats available. So, and I'm just going to say a few words about what the program does in the jail and how I think it helps and improves some of the lives of these people.
Of course,
Um,
it's going to help. I mean, um, you can't go wrong with sharing scripture to with anyone. But at the same time, in the reverse role, um, inmates sit in jail and they do just very few things. They either watch TV, uh, they share stories, or they learn how to become a better criminal. So if you insert something positive that is based on scripture, um, to me that's a win-win. And to come away from that with a better perspective of what they need to be doing instead of the choices that
that's it.
or the decisions that they made to get themselves there. That's yeah,
The more programs we have
yeah,
back there, the less time they have to think about other things.
that's it.
You know, um, when I first took office in 2018, we had an individual assigned to the Fugitive Task Force. Worked with the U.S. Marshal. Basically, you're like a reserve U.S.
U.S.
Marshal.
Marshal. Yeah,
Yeah, and well, when we got short with our manpower, like every other law enforcement agency did back in 2020 and 2021, we had to opt out just because we didn't have the manpower. And our director in Tennessee has been approaching me for the last 3 years and 4 years trying to get me to get a deputy assigned back in that. And I've been telling him, look, as soon as I'm fully staffed, I'm gonna
I
commit
would
to it.
I would love to do that.
It's probably the best job at the sheriff's office.
Yes, it.
So because you get marshal credentials,
Mhm.
you also get basically the marshal powers.
Right.
The leniency to go across state
State
lines,
lines.
and what they do is this deputy that we're assigning to it, he'll be going up 2 or 3 days a week and working with other uh, um, deputies or police officers that's assigned to the fugitive task force, and they're going out and hunting bad guys.
That's it.
That's what they're doing. They're going out and picking up people, the bad ones. The worst of the worst. It's a great job. And if I've got one or two that's in my area that we need arrested,
Mhm.
and they fit the criteria, then they'll send the team down here.
There is
And
no greater hunt than that of man. I'm telling you, to
yeah, it's
my
what we do.
yeah, that to all my hunters out there, you think that 8 point buck, coming out of the wood line. And when you raise that gun or when you raise that bow, that heart's pumping and your stomach's in knots. If you think that gets your blood pumping, know that you're fixing to go after somebody that knows themselves. They're fixing to probably spend about a 20-year stint in prison, and you know that they've got a gun in their waistband and probably one behind the door. I'm not getting your heart pumping.
Yeah,
That's where it's at.
it's a good job, and I'm glad to say that we're back. We've also got a deputy that's assigned to the TBI task force.
Oh,
Kind of the
cool.
same thing. Uh, they're basically a reserve uh, agent with the TBI. We did that, I think, last year. But now that staffing is up, I think we have one opening right now, and it's great.
Wow.
It's great. And I'm still holding two positions for a couple of guys that's been out for a while. But yeah, we're up there fully staffed. It feels good. We
Awesome.
got plenty of help. And it's a stressor, it's a stress reliever on the guys, because you got to have. We've had so many people out with the flu, and here over the past 3 weeks, it seems like it's. I don't know what flu is right now. Somebody told me that flu deaths have superseded COVID deaths now. I mean, you got so many different variants and variations. You got, I mean, I don't know. I don't get the flu. I don't know if I've ever had the flu. I never take a flu shot. I took a flu shot one time, and that was the sickest I'd ever been. I said I would never take a flu shot. But you hear so many people say, "Well, I got the flu shot," and then they get the flu, and then they say, "Well, that shot wasn't for that variant."
That strand or that variant.
Yeah, you got the swine flu vaccine, and you got the bird
Bird
flu,
flu.
or the avian, or the type A or type B, or I don't know, pneumococcal pneumonia or something. That would be my luck. I would finally go get the flu shot, and then I would get the flu again, and they would say, "Yeah." So I don't know why they can't make one flu shot that covers all of them.
I mean, they they say that they knew what they were doing whenever COVID was here, but that's a whole nother hour for discussion. I had a buddy of mine that was just sick as a dog, and he went and got checked for flu and COVID and this and that. And I called him. I'm like, "Well, how you doing?" He's like, "Well, I don't know." He said, "Because they don't know." He said, "They tested me for everything. I feel like I'm dying, and I'm testing negative for everything. So who knows what's out there? It's uh,
Yeah,
it's crazy."
take your vitamins and take care of yourself, and that'll keep you from getting too sick. I'm a big believer in keeping your immune system healthy.
Absolutely.
We've also got the, let me find it here so I make sure that I'm saying this right. It's the benefit dinner for, bear with me, I got it right here. The fifth annual Save the School benefit dinner.
Okay.
That's at the, it's going to be at Society on Public Square, 1 o'clock Saturday.
Now tell us a little bit more about this. This is the first I've heard of that.
Yeah. Debbie Wilkerson sent me this. I go every year. It's a dinner. They raise money. The school there on West Gaines, headed before you get to the park, before you get to the ambulance service. The old white building
Oh,
right there.
yes,
That
yes,
that was
yes.
that was an old
Yeah,
schoolhouse,
right, right, right.
and I think they're wanting to put a roof on it, maybe make it like some archives or something.
Yeah, Trina at Square 40 is involved
Yeah, yeah,
in that. I
yep.
went to a benefit auction at Sims Park either last year, I believe it was last year, or the year before. I believe Morgan was there too. Him and his family
Yeah.
came out. We gave a little money and had a good little fundraiser. So
That's Saturday.
the West
That's
Gaines School that's this Saturday too
that's Saturday at 1 o'clock.
at 1 o'clock. So you got.
I'm gonna be running all day
I was
Sunday.
fixing to say you
I'm
got.
gonna start out the morning with the West End Community Club breakfast.
Okay, which is always a good thing.
Oh man,
Oh my
and go get
goodness.
you some of that good old biscuits and gravy.
Them ladies out there know what they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. Go out to the West End Community Club Saturday morning and get some breakfast. That's where I'll start my day at.
So then you're gonna have lunch at Save the School
I got
at
that at 1
Society.
o'clock. If anybody wants to come to that, that's $60 a person. That gets you
Okay.
the dinner, and then it gets you the donation for that effort.
Did they tell you what was gonna be on the menu? Well, it's a society. It don't matter. Just about everything they cook's gonna be good.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's always a
yes, sir.
good, it's always a good meal. What time do we? How much time we
We
got?
got 5 minutes, Sheriff.
Oh, okay.
And then at 4:35, with the meal being at 5, you got the Lions Club faith-based
Mm-hmm.
dinner as well.
And there's a wild game dinner out at the Gum Springs Church
Oh, that's always
on Fall River Road that I don't know how I'm going to pull that off because of the other event that I have to be at that starts at 4:30 and that I'm speaking at. I might have to come in there on two wheels. I'll probably speed a little bit when I leave Lions Club and head on over to Gum Springs
good. And you
because
can blue lights and sirens.
they got quail, they got fish, they got elk, they got mule deer, they got uh tropic. I mean,
Have you ever had a bison nearby?
I don't know if I ever had
Oh
a bison.
my goodness. Ted's in Nashville.
Good stuff.
Yes, it's Ted's Montana Grill. The first time I ever went to one was in Denver, Colorado, or it might have been Aurora. Never had buffalo before a day in my life, and I'm here to tell you that was the best ribeye I ever put in my mouth.
No,
It just it's got the flavor of ribeye, but the taste is a little different, and it is fantastic. So if they got any bison at Gum Springs, I may see y'all later on that night.
we are also probably going to be putting out applications for our. No, that's not right. Yes, it is. Yeah, we're going to start putting. You'll be able to come by the sheriff's department and put in an application for the Citizens Academy.
Somebody was just
I
asking me
don't
about
have
that
the
the other day.
dates yet, but be listening. I'll put it out on the radio on Friday mornings when I stop by the radio station to say hello to everybody, and then we'll have it on our Facebook page when the applications go out. But if you want something to do this summer, one night a week, 2 or 3 hours a night, I think, or 3 or 4 hours a night. You come and it's a different topic every week. Kind of gives you an idea, gives you a little bit of an idea of what our academy is. You'll have 1 week of patrol, and then 1 week of investigations, and 1 week courthouse security, and
How many weeks altogether?
maybe eight.
8. Okay.
Think, don't quote me on that,
Okay, but they
but
can go ahead and pick up applications now. Just
not yet.
not yet.
We'll put it out. We'll put it out when we're gonna when those are going to be available. And you just come by the sheriff's office, pick one up, fill it out.
Awesome. Oh,
Drop
we
it in.
got
We're also going to start our constitutional carry firearms class again. That's probably going to be in May.
okay.
Uh, that was one of the one of the more successful things. You know, Tennessee passed that constitutional carry what
Yeah, about
3 years ago, um, making it to where if you could legally buy and possess a firearm, then you could carry it. You know,
Mhm.
so there's a lot of people out there that went and bought guns so they could carry guns that didn't know anything about a gun, had never shot a gun. So we offer that free on a Saturday. I think it's last Saturday of the month. We'll probably start in May, where you can bring your sidearm and 50 rounds of ammunition, and
Become educated.
we'll do some in class stuff, and then we'll actually go down to the range and punch some holes through some silhouette targets.
So before we jump off the air, I love being here, sharing the show with you. But as always, I've got to give a disclaimer.
There's no point in doing it now.
Well, no,
You
I
done
can,
said a
I
whole
can,
bunch of bad
I can
stuff.
make up for. I didn't say nothing bad. I said dummy. Hopefully that don't get me in hot water. But um, the opinions and views that I have are those of my own. In no way, shape, or form are they reflect anything that the city of Lawrenceburg nor the Lawrenceburg Police Department stands for. So that's me, not
Good job.
them.
Good job. All right. Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir.
Tune in week after next, and we'll do it all over again.
All right, Sheriff. Have a good day.
Yep.